The Canada Revenue Agency and the Canada Revenue Agency Corporation, the real CRA and the fake CRA, audit power. Recommendation, Part 6. Coming to the conclusion of my presentation about the Canada Revenue Agency and the Canada Revenue Agency Corporation, also Service Canada and its phantom entity or phantom department they call since 2020, Employment and Social Development Canada, I will now recommend how you can protect yourself from these opportunists and unethical auditors and all their tentacles, people who are financially greedy and selfish. When an auditor sends you a letter that he wants to audit you, the following are the things you should do. Know that the CRA auditors never use real names, and the telephones, they always use temporary numbers. Always a cellular telephone number, not a landline or office number. If auditors call you, it should be a red flag. The real CRA will never call you. They always communicate with you in writing. All public servants always communicate with you in writing, never by a telephone. If a real CRA employee call you, it is another red flag. It means this person has communicated with the corrupt agent or the corrupt auditor. Here is my or some of my recommendation if you are informed that you will be audited. Sure, you can let the auditors come to audit you, but you have to protect yourself. Generally, the person who will inform you that you will be audited is the manager of auditing department or auditing division, not auditors. So if it is from the auditors, then it should be red flag. It is not the CRA, but the CRA Corporation, which is a private company. So you have to ask the auditors if the auditors send you a letter, then you have to reply asking for the letter of engagement. You need the real name of the auditor supervisors or the person who made the assignment to audit you. This also includes the position, authority, and credential of the supervisor, the official civic address of the person, and the official telephone number, not a cellular telephone because the CRA Corporation people always change their telephone number within a week or two after auditing you. In fact, after auditing you, the supposed to be a supervisor never had the cellular telephone set up yet because they have known from their practice that you are clueless. It is their way of running away from you in case you notice that they are actually defrauding you. The telephone number has to be an official office number and the cellular telephone number. Use the official telephone number and it is not an 800 or 888 or 887 number. Verify them all before you allow the auditors to come to your premises. Make sure that they are all real and legit. You know that none of the CRA auditors and people from Service Canada was willing to or never want to tell me the person who authorized them. Usually the auditors do it on their own and work up a scheme to make their audit systemic. Service Canada people, usually the political staff from the department in charge, uh, send you to meet with this so-called investigator, integrity investigator. Service Canada people, they are the same as the Employment and Social Development Canada. They are the contractors of Service Canada. Both the CRA auditors and Service Canada contractors never want to tell you who their supervisors are or who the person who require them or who assigned them to meet with you. With Service Canada contractors, they never want to meet with you in their office, but always in different Service Canada office. because they're hiding themselves. They don't want you to know that they're actually contractors in a different Service Canada office. Usually, the person who communicates with you about the auditing under the current system is the manager of auditing in your tax jurisdiction. For example, if you live in Leeds and Grenville area, the tax office that will audit you is the CRA in Kingston, which is your tax jurisdiction. But in the CRA corporation scheme, this audit scheme, it is always the auditor who communicates and will audit you. The auditors directly communicates with you and tells you that he or she wants to audit you. It is a red flag. Require the auditor's credentials the same way you acquire those of their supervisors. It is important for you to know because they tend to work from different places, not at the same place. They are not from the same office. Verify their relationship professionally and individually. Obtain their civic address because the auditors always use PO Box address, which is illegal and unethical to be called a government agency's auditors. The auditor always works in pair. Make sure that you also obtain the same information about his or her partners. If the auditor says that he or she would do the auditing alone, then you know that this is about fraud. No government auditor works alone. It is the principal ethics and professionalism of auditing that auditors must work in pair minimum and depend on the types of audits. It is the requirement for a professionalism in accounting management. When the auditor comes to audit you, the first thing that you have to take into consideration to allow him or her to enter your premises is to document everything. The moment that he or she enters your house or your office, obtain the credentials because all the CRA auditors are not auditors, especially the CRA corporations. They were trained to work with the numbers and to telephone to rob you, not to do the work righteously. You also have to acquire the information about the partner, just the same as that of the auditors and his supervisor or managers. Verify all this information. They never give, all these auditors never give the name of their supervisor or managers. They never want to give it to you. In fact, before you allow these auditors to come to your premises, you have to verify all this information before about their legality, the supervisors and the auditors, his or her partner, since the government has privatized, the auditors and the partners are also not from the same places, not from the same address. They work in different places as well. So acquire all the information and verify them all about the supervisor, the auditors, and the partners before allowing them to come to your premises. Don't take PO Box for an answer, but always a civic address. Once they enter your premises, document everything. Take their pictures and vehicle's license, verify them later because their faces and their names are not the same. Why you have to take their pictures and verify their identities? Because the CRA corporation's auditors never use their real name. So the chartered accountants they usually use is usually a borrowed credential from their former victims or the accountants of their former victims. When they look at your document, record everything and never leave them alone. What the CRA auditors always do is they take all your records without notifying you or asking your permission. When you need your records, they are all gone. So never leave them alone. Watch them carefully and document their action. Yeah, make a video out of them. During their interview, they call it forced interview. They take four or five invoices, then they show you one invoice and ask you as always, explain this invoice. I remember when I worked at the chartered accountant office, a farmer was asked to explain this invoice. He is a farmer and purchased several sacks of seed to plant in his farm. What to explain? A man purchased several gallons of paints to paint his client's house. His client's house. He is a painter. What to explain? Actually, this kind of question is a puzzle. The man is a farmer. What kinds of supplies he needs but seed? This question has thrown all the victims. The question that say explain this in voice has thrown all the victims that they use this opportunity to declare that you cannot clarify or you are unreliable. Your answer is unreliable. Ask them the question back. Grill them of their knowledge about the business you do and the business from where you make the purchase. This is the questions they always ask their victims because they think you are spending tax dollars on such expenses. It is the same question they ask the politicians. As I have mentioned, politicians spend your tax dollars on personal expenses such as clothes, shoes, travel, etc. And this is your turn to throw back any questions to discredit the auditors and their purpose. When they ask you explain this in voice, you ask them in return their knowledge about your business and the business from which you made the purchase. This forced interview is just a camouflage their purpose of accessing your tax or your cash in the bank. The auditor always emphasizes his work on your bank account. For those who have combined account, pay attention because they consider your spouse also makes a living from the taxpayers, just as they do. They just lump sum your bank deposit transactions together and claim all are your income, including the benefits from the government. They claim it is your income, but they don't count it because it is benefits. They cannot separate that between you and your spouse because if they do, they don't make money. In their other words, they are cheating. The purpose is to fraud you or to rob you. They do not need your record, but only your bank book. It is all about your deposit transactions. Never allow them to take any of your records. If they want to, tell them to make a photocopy in front of you. Never let them alone. Never let them take your records out of your house or office because you will never see them anymore. They will destroy your records. Do you remember during crunching time, the government said that you can throw away any information after 5 years? So the government records are all permanent. But with the contractors or the customer service doing the audit and all, your record disappeared after 5 years. So, but they disappeared as soon as after auditing you. 2 weeks after, they all disappeared. When you are fighting with them, they ignore all your communications. They have destroyed all your records and communications. Pay attention to the audit schedule or report. Sometimes to throw you out, the auditors will throw any numbers and claim those numbers are your federal or provincial benefits, which never exist. They make up all these non-existent numbers to confuse you because they know that you do not know about the CRA and its auditing. Once you are audited, they send you their audit calculation that tells you how much tax you owe. Read and analyze the numbers carefully. All the numbers in the calculations are your bank deposit transactions and the federal benefits which you receive or never receive. In other words, the auditor is telling you that the government pays you benefits but you never receive. Someone has taken your benefits or the benefits has been transferred to your HST account or social insurance number account, then was transferred to someone else's account offshore in other countries. Who knows? In this letter or calculation, they inform you that their audit is based solely on your bank book deposit transactions, while the other numbers are your federal or provincial benefits. Later, the CRA stopped sending you the form for HST report. Rather, the CRA Corporation started sending you what they call notice of assessment, and all the numbers they put in the notice of assessment are speculation or estimation. Everything is based on estimation or prediction. They estimate that for the past quarter, you made sales this much, your GST or HST collected was this much, and the ITC was this much, therefore you owe GST or HST so much. It is never a refundable, but always payable. They want you to keep paying, but never receive back. It is just a scheme. Usually, this notice of assessment comes with the amount of tax they claim you owe, which is the same amount of your cash in the bank, a little bit more because they add 13% HST on it. This will last for at least several months or a year or two until you pay. If you still do not want to pay, then they send you the letter that explains that they have determined that you owe $24,000 or $25,000 to settle that account. So this is what the amendment is about. The language in their letter is always full of lies. They give numbers out of the blue and you don't know what it is. They make it as if they were lenient to you. So instead of paying 50,000 now, they just want you to pay 25,000. When you ask them to explain all the lies they put in their letter, they just totally ignore you. There is no more communication from them anymore. At this time, you will find that the so-called chartered accountants or the auditors have all disappeared. The person who sent you the letter saying that you now can pay 24,000 or 25,000 is from different place altogether, different PO box. If you analyze the letter of this person, she is telling you that she or her position is above the Minister of National Revenue. People of the CRA Corporation believe that they are above the minister. They have a bully attitude and quick to anger. Do you know why people have this attitude? Because they know they are wrong. They are covering their legal deeds, so they know they are wrong. They know that they are doing a scheme to rob you, to fraud you. Therefore, they are quick to anger. Knowing that you do not want to pay while waiting for their explanation in their letter, sent by someone else from other PO box. Of course, they cannot explain because their job is to lie. They have another agent to request the bank managers to clean up your bank account. That is the internal memo I have mentioned, I've shown before. This memo tells the bank manager where to transfer your cash to, which is HST or social insurance number account, and to the other account, transfer to other account as well. It could be the GW number 46155 or some other account number. Then when you try to withdraw your money from your account, you cannot. Then when you ask the bank employees, they tell you the CRA froze your account. The CRA doesn't have any legal authority to freeze your account. It is because the bank managers has removed your money and blocked you that you cannot see where the money is sitting. The money is still there, but bank managers has removed to other account. If you can access online banking, you can see where the money is. The manager is waiting for further instruction from the person who sent the internal memo. See, lawyers befriended the bank managers, so they don't want to charge the bank managers, even though they know that it is a fraud. After cleaning up your cars, the bank employee will give you the name of the CRA agent, another agent who uses a fake name and his telephone number to call. When you call this agent, the agent will tell you that he will send you several letters, and once you receive it, you have to forward those letters to the persons they address on the letters. The agent sends about 6 or 8 letters. All these letters have the same content, and it says the requirement to pay, a fraudulent requirement to pay. They want you to ask these individuals who have business connection with you to pay for the amount of the tax they say you owe. If these people agree to pay for your debt, all of a sudden you owe these people, and from 50,000 it becomes 500,000 or 600,000 or even more. Then you have to liquidate everything you have to pay these people. These people have nothing to do with you, but this is their strategy to enrich themselves. The most interesting thing is that the money from these 6 or 8 people will be sent to 6 or 8 different people in different addresses as well. So you know that this is a fraud. If you really owe taxes, the money will go to the CRA office in your jurisdiction, not PO box. In this auditing scheme, the money goes to 6 or 8 different people. To prevent the bank managers from removing your cash once you were audited, clean up your bank account or transfer your cash to another bank. You always have to have 2 people. Do not have a single account, but have 2 people in your account, because the bank managers cannot remove it if it is a different person. If you notice, they are chasing after people who have account in different bank or dual accounts, but only those that have cash account and single account. That's the CRA corporation. The bank managers cannot remove the money if the account has 2 or more names in it. Everything is about the cash. When they send you the notice of assessment, it always comes with a remittance voucher. It tells the bank, the manager, it tells the bank where the money will be posted, either your GST, HST, or social insurance number account, and then transfer to their other account, offshore accounts, when it comes to the remittance voucher. Do you remember that small business operators were shocked when all of a sudden, this is happening in 2007 and 2008 onward, they were not able to access their money in their bank account? The year when the CRA corporation started with this fraudulent audit, soon after their establishment in 2007, the bank managers told them that the CRA froze their account, which is never true. It is because the bank managers have received the internal memo that tells them to transfer the victim's cash to the 2 accounts stated in the internal memo. The bank managers want you to keep putting money into the bank account, but you cannot access the money. Many victims do follow what the bank managers told them. They keep putting the money into the so-called frozen account until the bank managers, with the command from the CRA agent, CRA corporation agent, and decided that account can be opened again. With the CRA Corporation and Service Canada, use your social insurance number for everything. Any customer service agents who have your social insurance number will use it for their advantage, just as Tammy Migeri does with mine. She uses my social insurance number and my identity and withdraws employment insurance since 2020. I found out about it 3 years later, after going around the world. She and Muriel were not qualified to take the CERB, but they did anyway. The government told them to pay back, so they did pay back, but then turned around and forced me to pay the money to them directly to their PO box. Muriel uses the name Pacific, and Tammy uses the name Ontario. They used to use Employment and Social Development Canada, but this is because it also involves the employment insurance that they took without our knowledge, so they changed the name Pacific and Ontario. Who do you think you owe the money to? Pacific? Did you make an agreement, take money from the Pacific or Ontario? No, you never do. But this is what they do. They deceive you and they lie to you. So in addition, that Employment and Social Development Canada has opened up their bank account in 2020. So they want you to make payment to this account. Have you ever noticed how they send you letters, communicate to you where you have to make payment, but there is an account in there, second account or offshore accounts that where the money will go to. They cannot use it anymore, so they changed their names. Tammy and Muriel changed their name. Muriel become Pacific and Tammy becomes Ontario. Remember that since 2016, your notice of assessment and all communications from the CRA are not from the CRA anymore, but from the CRA Corporation, the customer service, and they use your scene as everything. Usually, only the victims and former victims receive the white paper notice of assessment because no one ever questioned anything or suspicious. They eventually issue white paper notice of assessment to everyone. All the notice of assessment has your social insurance number as the record system. Similarly, when you receive a letter that says Employment and Social Development Canada, it is from the Contractor of Service Canada. This is a deceitful practice, but no one pays attention to this deceitfulness. It is a crime. It is a white-collar crime. These unethical and shameless auditors always ask you the names and address of the people you hire as contractors or subcontractors, or the names and address of your clients or customers. Do not give them any information. It means they are not the CRA, or they just simply the customer service agents that do not have the credentials to audit you. The CRA has everybody's record. They ask you their next victims because they do not have access to anybody's record, even though they claim they are the CRA. These auditors were trained with the belief that you spend the tax dollars like the politicians do. During the force interview, they will ask you several questions, and but all says explain this in voice. This is always their forced interview question, and people are not able to answer because, of course, I'm a farmer. I buy seeds to plant in my farm. What should I explain? So you can help yourself by referring the question to the auditors. Ask him if he knows about your business. Ask him if he knows about the business from where you made the purchases. Don't let them bully you with their question just because they claim they are CRA and doing the audit. This is the time when you take charge and grill them with their knowledge about auditing you and your business. Yeah, you can test their knowledge about auditing you and your business. This amendment has nothing to do with your business or auditing, but about having access to your cash and see how much they will make out of you. So that in the end, you will have financial difficulty. The purpose is to cause you financial difficulty. They want to have the politicians to legalize their fraud so that you will have financial difficulty. With the CRA wants you to do automatic filing or to allow them to access your records because they cannot access your records from the CRA, even though they claim they are the CRA. Their creation should be disbanded because it creates illegality. They use the name of the CRA to nothing else but fraud you. And this is what they have been doing since the day of their creation. You can either remove your cash or have someone else other than your spouse to have the signature on your bank account. Have two people in your account minimum. By doing so, you prevent the bank managers from cleaning up your cash and lie to you saying that the CRA froze your account. No one has the right to freeze your account without the court order, even though it is the CRA. You have to have the court order before anybody else or the bank does. Mind you that the court should be a real court, for the court not the court created by the CRA Corporation, which is a fake court, phantom court, which does not exist. This corporation also makes its own Phantom Department of Justice Canada. They make their Phantom Appeal Office too, but the appeal officer is nobody or anybody. It is a centralized telephone number. The next thing is they will create a Phantom Department of Immigration. This is why Service Canada is processing your passport, and soon they will sell visa to foreigners, which is they have done in foreign countries. It is all about money. It is greed. It is shameless. The most important thing now is to have the CRA audited as well, because it has many corrupt people, and especially the CRA corporation is integrated, is merged with the CRA. It makes your life will be more miserable. Since its establishment, it has defrauded millions of citizens. They want to have greater victims because you have allowed them to flourish all these years. The lawyers cannot help you. The police ignore you. They are building their wealth at your misery, and because they are selfish and greedy for more money and more materials. It is time for you to require this agency to be audited. Yes, this agency is alive, and the people are paid by you, by your tax dollars. It has to be audited. Have the Auditor General to audit this agency, because your politicians cannot do it, and private accountants cannot do it either. There is an auditing board that can audit the CRA, or the Auditor Generals can do it themselves. It depends on the structure of the organizations. This existence of the CRA corporation is nothing but to steal from you and to fraud you. So at Service Canada, it has to be returned to the department in charge of this task, like processing pensions, insurance. Now it is under the Department of Jobs and Employment. Yes, this agency needs to be audited. Read the Canada's white-collar crimes, political, financial, and corporate crimes. You learn their schemes and how cunning they are to victimize your fellow citizens. They use political phraseology to confuse you. They want to have greater victims with this amendment because you have allowed them to flourish all these years. The lawyers allowed them. The police ignore them. They are building their wealth at your misery because they are selfish and greedy for money and material. It is time for you to require that this agency to be audited as well. Yes, this agency is alive, and the people are paid by you, by your tax dollars. It has to be audited. Have the Auditor General to audit this agency because your politicians cannot do it, and private accountants cannot do it either. There is an auditing board that can audit the CRA. The existence of the CRA corporation is nothing but to steal from you and to fraud you. So as Service Canada, it has to be returned to the department in charge of this task, like processing pensions, disability, social insurance number, and so forth. Now it is under the Department of Jobs and Employment. They have to be audited. This agency needs to be audited.